go. Oh, we've got enough places to store this as well. There's a lot of room in the vehicle shed. I may start putting the Valtra down in the vehicle shed too. Clear a bay out in the main yard for something. They may put the grain cart in that shed there. Okay, let's pull forwards to there. Done. We're going to worry about that. It's raining it. Keeps it clean. I have the range to reach the header. Done. Not too much longer, because we're going to have to do some more harvesting tomorrow, so might do. Oh. Is just leave the harvester down the end. Ooh. We haven't looked around in here, have we? Some stuff up there. Not very high definition. That, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Warning labels. It's good enough. Let's drive. Ah, actually, I might put it here. That's good enough. Lights off, engine off, jump out. Here. Actually, I think for right now, we'll just leave the trailer here. That's off. Attach. Open sesame. This shed, I know about sometimes. Oh, Seaver's not here. Okay. Okay, so for tomorrow, we will be harvesting the oats and making straw. And because we'll be making straw, I'm going to need a baler. Sounds like this, I want another tractor. So we might see what we can do about adding another tractor to the roster tomorrow. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Good enough. Let's put this thing away. Oh, too much. Exit. Still 9 o'clock in the morning. It's summer. Kind of early. 5. I think we'll get this job over with now. What's the field state up there? So that field is done. Doesn't need ploughed, doesn't need limed. Needs a lot of fertilisation, but for right now, wrong button. That one. That's... I don't know if that's concerning or not. I might have parked it off centre now. Fill. What's the fill button? Go. No, not that button. Oh, okay, it does do that. Don't know if I've got any more seeds. Whoa. The entrance to that yard is a little narrow. Keep hitting that gate post. Let's go for a wander. Huh. Oh, maybe I left the seeds in here. opens without trouble. Okay. There's no seeds in there. Don't think I put anything in here. Nah. Don't want to have to go to store for more seeds, if I can help it. Okay, we have no more seeds on the farm. I'm wondering maybe what I've got is sufficient for the field we have. We may have to go shopping tomorrow for some more seeds. Superman 211, thank you for the follow and welcome to the stream. Okay. I am doing well. I am fully recovered from my animal allergies. Birds in the fields and weeds, possibly weeds, possibly treated weeds. Okay. This is PC. So this planter is actually a real thing, but it's American. Okay, what do? I press down and I press plant and decisions. We will turn that on, we will turn that on, we will auto width. Oh, that's not right. Oh, that's a pain. Is that the reset button? Yes. Alright. That'll work better. Let's go. So this planter plants pretty much everything. It doesn't, it includes fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, solid. And you don't have to cultivate first. Now there is an in-game model. Planters. I think that one there, which doesn't include fertilizer and doesn't include what do you call it? You have to cultivate first. Lift. No, That's turned it off. That's the left button. But this is a genuine planter, not a made-up one. And it's stuck on the hedge. Great. Pain in the butt. Oh, no, back up. I'm really making a mess of this, and I'm now reversing over the fence, which I don't want to do. There we go. Oh. Don't fold up. Okay, I'm just using GPS because practice, and it means my rows are going to be a little bit more efficient. I can't remember, what's the working width on this? Cedars, planters. 12 meters. So that's actually the width I was looking for. I tried a couple of the horse aggravation cedars of that width. A cedar and a planter. And they both had problems sliding. So, yeah, not using those. And consequently, I ended up using this one because it's 12 meters. And it's not the lambkin, which I used all through the Law Folds playthrough. I just wanted something different, but 12 meters works well with this particular tractor. I have added the Vederstadt S800 or 800S to the mod list on this playthrough, so I could get the 8 meter version of the Vederstadt. But I started Law Folds with the Vederstadt 600S, and that tractor just couldn't manage a 180-degree turn in 6 meters. So I ended up planting alternate rows, and it was just easier to say, we'll just go with the wider . Thing about oilseed radish is it really doesn't use a lot of seed at all. So potentially we've got enough seed in this to do this field, that field there, and the oat field. Though I'm going to buy some seed anyway because I'm not entirely sure I'll get the oat field completely done. With seasons, yes, oilseed is worth it. Oilseed radish seed is cheaper than fertilizer. That's the first thing. The amount of seed you use is incredibly small amount. for oilseed radish. Plus, there's nothing I can plant right now and harvest before winter. So this ground here is just sitting here not doing anything for the entirety of fall and the entirety of winter. So by adding oilseed radish, what I can do is get a layer of fertilization. Oops. That was the wrong button, excuse me. I get a layer of fertilization that is much cheaper than using spray or the other stuff, solid. So absolutely this is worth it. Now you won't see any benefit right now, but once you get a stage of growth here, so the field's covered in green oilseed radish leaves, you plough that in or cultivate that in, and that is one layer of fertilization for an incredibly small cost. As I said, seed is cheaper than fertilizer, except obviously manure and the other stuff, digestate. But we will be putting manure and digestate down after we've ploughed this in. Now in the regular game, I would not say that oilseed radish is worth it, because that is one growth stage that you're not making money on your field. Oops. Let's keep reversing and straighten the tractor out. Pulling it a little bit too close to that hedge. Okay. There we go. And lower. So in the regular, if you're not playing with seasons, I would say just plant, harvest, plant, harvest, plant, harvest. Obviously get as many stages of fertilization as you're allowed, as quickly as you can. But, you know, if you're not in seasons, if your fields are not growing something productive, you're wasting money. Now, soybeans, I'm not going to be able to put oilseed radish in the ground after that, because I think if we actually manage to get our soybeans harvested, it's going to be winter, so I'm not going to have any time to plant anything. Now fortunately with this seeder I don't have to run around and cultivate and what have you, so it's something I can get to immediately. Again with the too close to the edge of the field, I'm going to have to seriously consider this field, or this seeder on this field. We're going to have to do 2 headlands in the future and leave space for that. So we're going to have to do what we can with our 2 soybean fields, but this is the last year, first and last year. I'm going to be planting soybeans. It depends. As for cultivating the oilseed radish, I can either cultivate it as soon as it grows. Now we're planting this late summer. This will grow probably by mid-fall. It'll be ready to be cultivated in. And if I do that, then I can put winter wheat or barley or canola in. Now we just planted canola, so possibly winter wheat or barley, and that will start growing through the winter. Obviously it'll go dormant once the temperatures drop, but that will be ready to harvest come late summer next year. But sometimes I'll leave the oilseed radish in through the winter, especially if I'm going to plant something like corn or sunflowers or soybeans. I'll leave it in over the winter and then cultivate it in come spring. Because it's always a good idea to have some form of roots in the field, at all times. So once this starts growing, it's going to protect the topsoil from erosion. Now, if I'm going to plant winter wheat or barley, then I'm going to put the oilseed radish in first, especially at this time, and then later on we can worry about putting the winter crop in. There's all sorts of things to consider. Oilseed radish grows slower than all the other crops. Now you get a benefit from planting anything and then cultivating it immediately. That one. But oilseed radish is the cheapest and thus most efficient to do. It's like these fields over here, if I knock out the weeds ploughed, this field is one fertilisation stage behind this one. That's because this one was grass. And I ploughed in the grass, which gave me free fertilisation. This was just ready to plant. So I just went ahead and planted it. So any crop in the ground, if you buy a field with potatoes and say, hey, I don't want to harvest potatoes, plough it in, it's one level of fertilisation you get for free before on your next crop. So do that thing. As I was saying, as far as real life is concerned, you don't want to leave just bare soil, because if you do that, it can get washed away, especially on fields like this where you've got quite a steep grade. Here. Go. But if you stick with the series, you will see what I end up deciding to do with this particular field and the other two. And as I'm guessing with the soybeans, I'm just not going to have time to put oilseed radish in before winter. I might do, but it's going to be a tight thing. I'm going to be running the harvest around with this seeder almost directly behind them. Sowing as we reap in order to get it all done in time. Okay, stop that, raise that. As you can see, we've probably got about 10-11 meter turn radius on this tractor. That's true, although I believe most farmers will leave the headland last when they're planting, so that they're not driving over ground that has been planted. So I am driving over ground that has just been harvested. And then when we get to the end, we'll turn round. But we're not driving over the ground that we've just put seed in. And so we're trying to be at least pseudo-realistic here. We'll be planting headlands and possibly even cultivating headlands last. But harvesting, you harvest the headlands first, so as not to destroy crop. This field gets tricksy. Oh, there's no fence in that hedge. Yay. Hopefully the sheep don't come over and investigate all of this wonderful growing stuff.